Right. So, um, everyone can see my screen na naman, no? All right. Okay. So again, my name is Mikaela Macayan. I am one of the program officers of the Youth Leadership for Democracy, and I would like to thank Insight Gov and all of the implementing partners that who've invited YouthLEAD to speak here in our today's event. So again, we are here to share highlights of the 2021 Youth Survey of the Youth Leadership for Democracy. Hang on. Ayan. The Youth Leadership for Democracy of the Asia Foundation. So this survey was developed by our program in partnership with the Social Weather Stations, or SWS, with inputs from our youth-led partners. So the survey focuses actually on Filipino youth well-being and aspirations, civic participation, and political participation. And it's designed in a manner that provides an opportunity for us to be able to delve deeper into subtopics and themes that can allow a more holistic understanding of who the Filipino youth is. And that's exactly what my session would like to talk about. My session would like to introduce you to sino nga ba ang mga kabataang Pilipino ngayon at ano-ano ang mga characteristics ng mga kabataang Pilipino ngayon. But just to give you a brief run through of our objectives. This survey aims to provide a comprehensive insight to the Filipino youth today, which would help yung aming agenda, yung agenda ng aming programa at yung mga interventions for positive youth development. Pangalawa is for us to be able to provide policy recommendations and insights that can contribute to the development of our 2022 Philippine Youth Development Plan. And lastly, kagaya ng nangyayari sa atin ngayon, kagaya ng ginagawa natin ngayon, we would like to serve as a resource for the different sectors like the government, the civil society, the academe, the youth organizations, and several multilateral institutions to share this findings, to share the results of the survey to those who have interest in youth development and research. And for the profile naman, we interviewed around 4,900 youth respondents with ages 15 to 30 across all regions and in 32 major cities and areas. These respondents mostly majority of them belong to class D since they represent the largest bulk of families in the Philippines. So, yung in terms of education naman, 65% had who responded to the survey, 65% of them had full or partial high school education, 25% had full or partial college education, and 7% naman had full or partial elementary education. So, ang pinakamataas ay yung 65%, which had full or partial high school education. So, next slide. And then a quick survey background naman. Sorry, I'm there. Yeah. So the survey background naman was conducted from it was conducted last March 14 to 29 with allocation of 100 respondents in each of the administrative region and in each of the 32 youth-led target areas. So as much as possible, since this is a nationwide survey, we wanted to be as inclusive as possible, and we wanted to get equal respondents for each of the regions that we administer the survey to. And the survey naman, we utilized the face-to-face interviews using a structured questionnaire with visuals. And as per my colleague who's also in the chat box, Ms. Christmas Sullivan, this is key also to making the survey as reliable, factual, and accurate. So, ayan. We've categorized the results of the survey into three themes para makilala niyo yung tunay kung sino ba talaga yung mga kabataang Pilipino ngayon. So nakahati siya into three themes. So first is the Filipino youth well-being and aspirations. Second is the Filipino youth and civic participation, and lastly it's the Filipino youth and political participation. So later, we will also have the opportunity to verify these data through your provision of your inputs para makarinig din kami ng inyong mga thoughts and yung mga negative or positive reactions if you guys agree to the results of the survey. So during the presentation, to make it more interactive, you can either agree or disagree to the results of the survey by commenting your thoughts in the chat box. And this is also a way for us to really verify the data. Kagaya nga ng sabi kanina, to make this survey as accurate, as precise as possible. So, magiging helpful din yung magiging insights niyo dahil isa tong way to verify the data through qualitative data gathering through the presentation of this survey results. So, next, we proceed to the Filipino youth well-being and aspiration. So, young Filipinos naman have a positive outlook in life compared to the youth back in April 1996. Which 76% actually said that their quality of life will improve. 18% says that it will stay the same, and a small percent, just 4%, says it will worsen. But this is a very good development from that of the results from the April 1996 survey. Malaking jump siya from malaki yung in-increase niya from 46 naging 30 sa 2019 at nag-increase na siya to up to 72 in year 2021. So I see some chat messages. Ayan. And then for in terms of life goals naman, 72% ang pinaka priority nila is to help parents and siblings financially. Top two is 36% is for them to be able to live independently from parents. Top three is yung 29% says to get a college degree. So if you guys agree on this helping parents and siblings financially as number one hashtag life goals ng inyong journey to adulthood, share it sa chat box kung agree kayo dito. Kasi ako personally, kung Gen Z ako, ito ang isa sa mga top priorities ko sa aking life goals. So, nagpi-feeling Gen Z pero mukha pa naman akong Gen Z, diba? So, okay. For the career goals naman, 33% says they have good enough opportunities from where they are based. So, say ako kunwari taga Las Piñas ako, I would say na marami akong makukuhang opportunities kung nasaan ako naka-base at hindi ko na kailangan pumunta sa ibang lugar, lumipad sa ibang lugar. So, 33% of our youth today says they have good opportunities from where they are based, and a close difference naman sa top 2, which is 23%, says that while there are opportunities where they are, they still prefer to work elsewhere in the Philippines. So, baka mayroon tayong mga taga Maynila na gustong pumunta sa say Siargao to live and grow yung kanilang career doon. May mga gustong pumunta sa Siargao, sa Boracay to create businesses, to para magkaroon din ng ibang opportunities for work and for more income. And 20% says they have better opportunities working abroad, but they prefer to stay here in the Philippines. So I would just like to interject na in the results that we will be sharing, you'll see some openings, some ideas as to where you could also create activities, projects, programs that could help improve these results. And ultimately, di ba gusto naman natin when that our youth, that the youth that we produce here sa Filipino education stays here in the Philippines para makatulong sila sa pag-grow ng economy natin, sa pagtutulong sa pagpapadevelop ng ating bansa. So, for me personally, kayanin natin tong mas ma-improve pa yung mga individuals na nagsasabi na mas kahit may mga opportunities sa labas ng bansa, pipiliin ko pa rin manatili dito sa Pilipinas para makatulong sa pagde-develop ng Pilipinas. And 9% says they have better opportunities working abroad, but they prefer to stay in the Philippines, and 8% says they prefer working and living abroad than in the Philippines. Yun, buti na lang, 8% na lang yung di ba, yung mga nagpe-prefer na mag-work and mag-live abroad than staying here in the Philippines. So, marami pa naman sa ating mga kabataan na talagang makikita mo na gusto pa rin talaga nila magstay dito at assuming na gusto talaga nila ipaglaban yung development ng ating bansa. So, hashtag health is wealth. 67% of young Filipinos says they have good health compared to the 51% of young Filipinos in response to the same question in 1996. Kagaya ng positive outcome, nag-improve din yung percentage compared to the 1996 survey. So ngayon 67% na, ang laking jump, medyo malaking jump siya from the 1996 na 51% lang. And then next naman is yung ilan ba sa mga Filipino youth na nakaka-feel pa ng pride in being a Filipino. We are happy to report that 81% of the youth feel very proud in being a Filipino, while 16% feel quite proud lang. And again, this is a huge jump from the 1996 survey results, from 69% up to 81%. Medyo bumaba nga lang siya noong June 2019, pero at least nasa same percentage pa rin siya ng 80% pataas. Ayan, let me just see the chat box. Would this, sige, let's go back to the question siguro later. Let's finish muna this results presentation. Okay, sige. Next, for the Filipino youth and civic participation naman, the voice of the youth has always been a strong force in the Philippines, and this stems from the inherent idealistic nature of young people to initiate change, join social movements as a means of belonging or self-expression, and the greater propensity to take risks over the older generation. Young people have larger social networks that can easily mobilize and transmit new ideas. While the youth have been willing to voice their opinions, ito yung mga efforts na sinusupport ng mga institutions that value democracy and the freedom to express this. Not all young people are accorded the support structure or the platforms to create or share their voices responsibly. And this is why we are here, yung YouthLEAD, to provide the platforms and the capacity building for the youth that they need. And for the results naman, kung tatanungin natin, saan ba yung main source of information about youth's responsibilities as a Filipino citizen? Saan nanggagaling yon? 24% ang pinakamataas dito ay yung home. So, ang main source of information ngayon ng mga kabataang Pilipino ay, believe it or not, sa bahay pa rin nagsisimula ito. Kaya malaking role talaga ang ginagampanan ng ating mga magulang sa ating bahay, sa pagbibigay ng tamang edukasyon, civic education sa ating mga kabataan ngayon. Pangalawa naman yung traditional mass media, 20% nagsasabi na sa traditional mass media nanggagaling ang main source of information. Pangatlo lamang yung social media na nagsasabi na 16% yung pinanggagalingan ng information nila. Yan. Next naman is yung college with 5%. Kaya dito ko nakikita na kailangan pa rin talaga nating i-strengthen yung ating mga civic education sa ating mga paaralan. And this is one of YouthLEAD's component programs to improve yung civic education curriculum natin. So, yeah. Next, in terms of civic participation naman, I am confident in expressing my own political opinions. 57% agrees na dito sa statement na ito. So if you also agree in this statement and the upcoming statements na sasabihin ko, please siguro put it sa chat box if you agree or disagree sa number 1. Ayan. So, number 1, I am confident in expressing my own political opinions. Doon sa mga nabigyan ng survey na to, 57% agree. And then, 22% naman ang nagsasabi na disagree sila, na hindi pa sila confident. Ayan, tignan natin yung chat box kung, Ayan, agree. Sige, agree. And then for the second statement, I have the right to hold my government accountable. 50% ang nagsasabi na agree sila sa statement na to, while 25% ay hindi nag-agree. Next statement, it is the right of every citizen to be accorded due process of law. 92% says they agree, and 3% says they disagree. Next is I know my rights and responsibilities as a citizen. 92% says they agree, while 2% disagrees. Last statement, young people can easily communicate with local government officials in their locality. 68% agree, and then 14% disagree. I am seeing some comments in the chat box saying that 22% disagree for political opinions is pretty high. Yes, it is very high. And this is why I told you a while ago that we will see openings, we will see opportunities para to improve these ratings, and for us to be able to incorporate it in our own activities. So now that we know kung ano yung baseline information natin about the youth, siguro as young leaders, as leaders of the country, we now have the challenge to improve this rating. So ayan. Next naman, next slide. In terms of individual, wait lang ha. Ayan. In terms of individual versus collective engagement, um, 60% have liked or shared political or social posts on social media like Facebook or Twitter, while 54% have sought out news about political issues. And yung top kasama, last na bullet kasama sa top 3 ay 49% have discussed politics and societal issues with another person, either in person or online. And 33% have followed a politician, a political commentator, and or political account on social media like Facebook or Twitter, while 27% have posted their own thoughts, comments on political social issues, like in social medias like Facebook or Twitter. So we see na mas engage ang kabataang Pilipino ngayon sa mga individual engagement lang, no? So um So, yeah, the results shown here reflect individual civil and political actions, many of them online. And there are a lot of opportunities presented by online engagement, and these allow for innovative and creative contributions from the youth. But we would like to reiterate also the support and guidance needed for discernment and civic-minded participation. So hindi let's not limit ourselves lang doon sa pag-like or pag-share ng mga political social posts. And again, this is an opportunity for us to create to create a deeper civic education program for the Filipino youth right now para mas maging engaged sila, mas engaged sila deeper, and mag-initiate sila ng mga youth development programs that would really reach yung mga kabataan on the ground. So let's not limit ourselves to online activities. So ayan. So doon naman sa in terms of issues that they would like to advocate on, 58% nagsasabi ang mga issue-based advocacies na gusto nilang pagbigyan ng collective action ay on poverty. Number 1 yun. Number 2 is yung violence and abuse against women and children. That's 57%. And 54% says yung lack of access to quality education. And then 51% says climate change. And lastly, 49%, the response to the COVID-19 crisis. Yan. And there is, hang on sige, wait lang. Let me just, sorry. Wait lang, nag-stop yung aking. Hang on, nag-stop yung ano ko. Sorry. There, is this better? All right. So for the Filipino youth and political participation, the PSA data for 2020 show that in a population of 110 million Filipinos, the youth represent 30% of the Philippine population, which is the largest generation of Filipino youth to date. And there are 61 million registered voters. Those registered below the age of 35 total to about 30 million, or close to 50% of the voting population. Of course, the figures will change pending the final count of new registrants from the COMELEC. And historically, voters under the age of 35 count for 50 to 52% of the voting population. Of importance to note, the population among 10 to 14 years olds, which counts to around 10 million, and 30 to 34 years old, mga 8 million po siya. Next slide. So per our survey, actually, before I proceed to the discussion of this results, PRRD actually garnered a 79% satisfaction rating among the respondents at the height of the pandemic. But it is very important to note that the high approval rating of PRRD does not translate to high satisfaction on specific issues such as yung rising costs of goods or inflation, because they disagreed na yung performance rating nila, thumbs down daw, sabi ng 72%. And then 11% naman says na okay ang performance rating in terms of dealing with rising costs of goods or inflation. Let me know if you guys agree on this, kung okay ba yung naging kanilang rating in terms of these specific issues. So violence and abuse against women and children, 65% ang nag-thumbs down, while 17% ang nag-thumbs up. Sa corruption naman, 66% ang nag-thumbs down, and then 17% ang nag-thumbs up. Sa lack of access to justice, 57% nag-thumbs down, and then 20% nag-thumbs up. Sa response to COVID-19 crisis, 37% did a thumbs down, while 45% says na thumbs up. So medyo tumataas na yung sa response to COVID-19 crisis. 45% agrees na okay naman yung performance rating ng national administration. Sa poverty naman, 62%, 62% ay thumbs down, and then 21% thumbs up. Sa human rights violations, 61% ay thumbs down. And then lastly, the policies against illegal drug trade and use, 56% says thumbs down. Yan. Next slide. Yan. So main reasons why the youth vote are true across most areas and social demographic groups. And we take note of the percentage of youth who have not voted because they are not registered. This validates our interventions in YouthLEAD and stresses the importance of voter registration campaigns, where we have been using the messaging of your vote counts. So, ano nga ba ang mga main reasons why the youth vote? Number one, it is their civic duty to vote. Of course, kailangan ma-provide to ng enough and strengthened civic education para maintindihan talaga natin ano ba talaga yung tamang civic duty natin. And then second bullet point, it is their right to vote. 35% says that it is their right to vote. 27% says it is important to vote. And lastly, 25% says it is a way of creating change in the country. Sa inyo ba, ano ba yung main reasons ninyo bakit kayo bumoboto bilang kabataang Pilipino? Maybe you guys can share it in the chat box so that we can recognize it as well. And yung main reasons naman why the youth does not vote are 95% says I am not registered, 3% says I don't trust politicians, and then my vote, and then a small percentage says my vote will not matter. So at least meron tayong medyo mas matataas na percentage saying why they vote. So we are assuming that these people, these kabataang Filipino are registered voters. But it is still important for us to invite the 95% to register because their vote will always count. Kailangan natin ma-relay yan yung tamang information to our to the Filipino youth na your vote will always count dahil 6 years ang ating pagdadaanan with the new leaders that we will be electing in the country. Ayan, may nagsabi dito, boboto po ako para makatulong na makapili ng bagong mamumuno para sa pag-unlad ng Pilipinas. Ayan. So everything that we do in terms of civic participation and our involvement really is for the development of the Philippines. And in terms of statements naman, babalik ulit tayo sa statements. Sabi ng Kabataang Pilipino, nag-agree ang 86% sa statement na young people like me can make a change in society by actively campaigning and voting for candidates we believe in the coming May 2022 elections. So, magandang results to personally for me because at least alam nating na may sense of understanding yung ating mga kabataan ngayon kung bakit kailangan at kung bakit nagmamatter yung kanilang vote at makakagawa ito ng change sa ating society. So next, in the coming May 2022 elections, voting will be clean, safe, and proper in my precinct. 75% of the Filipino youth agrees, while 7% disagrees. And this statement is strong in Mindanao, which comprises of 81%, Visayas 73%, and Luzon 65%. While in Metro Manila 49%, and it is also strong across all demographics except for PWDs. So in our programs, again, meron tayong itong opportunities. Meron tayong opportunities to see na kailangan pa nating i-involve more ang ating mga disadvantaged sectors such as the PWDs para din somehow ma-improve natin tong rating na to at makasama sila dun sa agree statement na sinasabi natin na in this coming May 2022 elections, voting will be clean, safe, and proper in my precinct. Yeah. So next, I know I'm trying. This is just 10 minutes. I am trying to speedy the discussion. So ano-ano naman ang mga pinanggagalingan na sources of information about our electoral candidates? Some of us may actually think na social media ang magiging pinakamataas dito bilang Gen Z is always in social media, always using our phones and internet. So, pero ang sabi ng Kabataang Pilipino, 45% ay ang pinanggagalingan ng information about electoral candidates ay television news coverage pa din. 44% ang word of mouth. Pumapangatlo lamang ang social media. And 30% election debates, 25% television ads, 24% sa flyers, at ang pinakamababa is yung official campaign website, which is 6%. So, ang magiging challenge lang dito sa mga sources of information ay kailangan ine-ensure natin na factual and totoo yung mga nasasagap na news, facts na nakikita ng mga kabataang Pilipino sa main sources of information nila about our electoral candidates, which is yung television, word of mouth, and social media. Pero medyo challenging lang ako personally yung word of mouth na na factual ang magiging ang nasasabi ng mga tao about these electoral candidates. So, ayun ang kailangan nating gawa ng at pati ang social media actually. Kailangan nating labanan ang disinformation. So, ito naman ang sa traditional versus social media, in terms of television, 39% watch news on TV daily, while 32% a few days per week, tapos 9% weekly naman ang paggagamit ng panonood sa TV ng mga kabataang Pilipino. Tapos sa newspaper naman, 70% read the newspaper not even once a week. So, and then 17% says never reads newspaper. So, parang kailangan nating i-improve pa itong newspaper reading natin, or baka nagko-convert na sila sa online news. And then for the radio naman, 13% of the Filipino youth listen to the news daily via radio. And then 20% of them a few days per week lang. And then 8% of them weekly. And then 6% says they never used radio. And then for the ano naman, social media, 38% says that they use social media to look for news daily. Baka dito na nag-transfer, nag-convert yung mga hindi na nagbabasa ng mga ng newspaper. So that's just an assumption. But 33% a few days per week, and 11% weekly lang naggagamit ng social media. And then in terms of using chat apps naman, 29% says they use chat apps to look for news daily, and then 6% yung mga weekly na lang. And then in terms of understanding more, or parang diving deeper on the use of social media, 74% ang ginagamit nila sa social media ay to watch entertainment videos, while 60% get updates from family and friends, and then 40% learn something useful, and then 36% play online games, and then 27% look for news. And then yung last two ay more on earning money and expressing personal sentiments. For the 97% naman, they have at least one social media. Ang pinakamataas pa rin dito ay ang Facebook. Pangalawa, ang YouTube. Pangatlo, Instagram. And then mga nasa 20% lines ay ang Snapchat and Twitter. So, if ever, Facebook pa rin talaga ang pinaka-useful social media app to share information, share news, share programs. So, yeah. And in terms of influencing yung kanilang mga votes naman, it actually aligns doon sa nauna nating slides na sa bahay pa rin ang unang pinanggagalingan ng information. So, sino nga ba ang nag-influence ng vote ng mga kabataang Pilipino? Number 1, 54% says endorsement from family, and then 29% from political experts, and then 24% the president. 19 to 18% na lamang ang nanggagaling sa traditional media, community leaders, elders, and close friends and peers. So, malaking role talaga ang ginagampanan ng pamilya. Pero nakita ko dun sa isang comment sa chat box na, pero saan nga ba nanggagaling yung mga information na ibinibigay ng ating mga magulang sa ating mga kabataang Pilipino? That's why we also need to ensure that we also provide capacity building trainings to our parents, to the yung mga nakakatanda sa pagsasagap ng mas tama at factual information. And then ayan, who influences my stance naman on political issues? Family pa rin ang pinakamataas with 59%. And then mataas rin na nagsasabi na 57% ay they look to their family as a guide on their support for government policies and activities. And then in terms of Filipino youth and political participation, in terms of youth leadership in formal government positions, 49% of them says that young people should run for the post of barangay captain. Medyo mababa po ito. And then 64% of respondents say that young people should not run for Congress. 70% says that young people should not run for governor. And 59% says that young people should not run for mayor. So, but for me personally, I would like to see this statistic, this percentage be increased, dahil naniniwala talaga ako sa kakayanan ng youth, sa kakayanan ng ating mga kabataan ngayon. Dahil alam ko mas marami tayong maibibigay, tayo ay yung mga leaders natin ngayon na kabataan, mas on the ground yung ating approach. Kaya mas maiintindihan natin yung mga ipinaglalaban natin sa mga localities natin. And just to note na 25 years old is the minimum age to run for a congressional post. Tapos for governor naman, 23 years old, for mayor, 21, and for barangay captain, 18. So personally, I would like to invite everyone, our young leaders now to step up and be leaders in their own communities. So, ayan. In terms naman of yung awareness sa youth institutions na nag-exist para sa ating mga kabataang Pilipino, only 17% of the Filipino youth are aware that the National Youth Commission exists. So bumaba siya from the 1996 survey na from 26%, bumaba tayo ngayon sa 17%. And for the Sangguniang Kabataan naman, only 88% of the youth are aware that SKs are existing. Mataas naman po itong rating na ito. And for the youth and Philippine democracy, 70% of our Filipino youth says they are satisfied with the way democracy works in the country. This is a almost 20% jump from the 1996 survey na 55%, now up to 70% na for the year 2021. And 11% says that the Philippines has a full democracy, and 54% says that they experience democracy but with minor problems, and then 29% says we have a democracy but with major problems, and lastly 5% says it's not a democracy. So ayan, ito naman po yung characteristics ng democracy. We ask the survey respondents to choose the characteristics that they link most to sa democracy or demokrasya. So 33% says that social equity is a major characteristic of democracy, while 25% says that good governance equates to democracy. 22% says that norms and procedures equate to democracy, and lastly 19% says that freedom and liberty is a characteristic of democracy. So the major key takeaways from this survey. The major key takeaways for this survey is that the youth are more inclined towards individual civic political action and issue-based collective action. Next is that the youth political and civic engagement is becoming more personalized and individualistic. And lastly, election 2022 also proves an opportunity to organize, educate, and to encourage participation. So, if tatanungin niyo po ako kung ano pa ang pwedeng gawin at gampanan na role ng ating mga kabataang Pilipino ngayon, let us start with the upcoming elections. Marami tayong pwedeng gawin in terms of providing factual information, being able to educate our Filipino youth kung sino ba talaga ang tamang kandidato na ating iboboto. Doon we also need to strengthen also, apart from yung elections, yung participation natin sa elections, outside of that, we also need to be able to involve ourselves in programs and activities na nagbibigay ng capacity building development sa ating personal leadership at yung leadership natin para sa ibang tao. So, dito pumapasok yung mga programa kagaya ng YouthLEAD. Marami kaming mga fellowship opportunities na mag-i-improve ng inyong capacities as a leader. We also have assemblies, coalition activities that we can involve you in, and also meron din kaming activities that would help you strengthen your civic experience dito sa ating bansa. So next naman, just to share with you guys yung mga ginagawa ng isang Pilipinong kabataan sa a week in the life of a Filipino youth. So, ayan, 76% household chores yung ginagawa nila. 72% says they browse on social media. 64% ay talking to family. So, yun ang top 3 natin. So, ito yung top 3 among the 13 pre-listed activities na ginagawa ng mga ating kabataang Pilipino almost every day. And this is followed by browsing social media, talking to family, doing religious activity, and watching movies or other video content. So, medyo andun na talaga tayo, leaning na talaga tayo sa social media activities ngayon. Ito naman yung snapshot of the Filipino youth, which summarizes yung diniscuss natin a while ago. And that's it. for my presentation. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope we were able to digest all the information kahit medyo mabigat. Ayan. Thank you very much.